Welcome to SATV News. This is Tushiamin with our headlines. Advisors need no safe exit, says law advisor Asif Nazrul. Enacting good law does not mean the entire country will be transformed. People have not entrusted nation's destiny to few parties, says Amir Khosru. Peer method will weaken position of the individual and strengthen the party, says Moin Khan. Security is the biggest challenge in upcoming post, says CEC. Now in details. Law advisor Asif Nazrul today said the advisors of the interim government do not need a safe exit despite the ongoing public discourse on the issue. There are much talks about, but the advisors are absolutely certain that none of them require any such exit. He said while speaking at a national consultation on the draft National Human Rights Commission Ordinance 2025 held at a hotel in Dhaka. Rather, it is the people of this country who, as a nation, need a safe exit from the destructive state structure left behind by the previous fascist regime, he added. He recalled the past 15 years of misrule, enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and the looting of public funds from banks. Referring to judicial independence, he said the Constitution of 1972 envisioned that the President would appoint judges independently, free from political influence. But everyone knows the President has never been able to exercise that independence. In practice, judicial appointments have always reflected the will of the Prime Minister, he added. The advisor further expressed hope that the amended law would enhance the Commission's efficiency and further strengthen its independence. BNP Standing Committee member Amir Khosru Mahmood Chowdhury today said the people of the country haven't entrusted the responsibility of determining the nation's destiny to a few political parties. He said the people of Bangladesh haven't given 20 or 30 political parties the mandate to sit down and determine the country's future. Khosru made the remarks as the chief guest at the seminar titled Proportional Representation System, Elections and Critical Perspective. Cosmos Foundation and United News of Bangladesh jointly organized the event at the Cosmos Center in Moshak in the city. Addressing political parties that make statements like, if our demands aren't met, this or that won't happen. The BNP leader advised, if you believe in democracy, you must proceed through public discourse and discussion. Calling upon those who are demanding the PR system to include it in the manifesto and present it to the public, he said. The people know nothing about PR. Therefore, it is the responsibility of those demanding PR to mention it in their electoral agenda, go to the people and implement it only after receiving the public's mandate. Meanwhile, in his speech as a special guest, other BNP Standing Committee member Dr. Abdul Moin Khan said that the demand for the PR system is being raised in the hope of gaining more seats, adding, some political parties are demanding PR because they hope to get a few more seats in the parliament. Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami Secretary General Professor Mia Ghulam Parwar has said that his party will introduce an Islamic system of governance if voted to power. He claimed that under Jamaat's leadership, every national problem will be solved one after another. Addressing a students and youth rally at Paigacha College ground in Khulna on Saturday morning, Ghulam Parwar said that Jamaat plans to bring sweeping changes to the country's education system. He called on voters to support Jamaat-nominated candidate Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad in the upcoming election. He further asked supporters to stay united. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, also a Central Working Committee member, said that no future election in Bangladesh should be held without the proportional representation system. The event chaired by Upazila Jamaat Amir Maulana Sayyedur Rahman was attended by central and district level Jamaat leaders including Islami Chhatro Shibir Secretary General Nurul Islam Shaddam, District Naibe Amir Maulana Ghulam Sarwar and District Secretary Munshi Mizanur Rahman. Chief Election Commissioner A.M. Nasiruddin has urged the presiding officer to set an example of rule of law through the upcoming parliamentary election. He said, let an example to be set in this country to show what the rule of law truly means through this election, the 13th national parliamentary election. Whatever happens, so be it, he added. The CEC made these remarks while addressing a workshop with the presiding officer in the Chattogram city this morning. He was the chief guest of the workshop, identifying and overcoming the challenges in performing the duties of polling officers in the electoral process at the local public administration training center auditorium in the city Askardighi area. The event was organized by the CBTEP project. Addressing the presiding officers at the workshop, Chief Election Commissioner A.M. Nasiruddin also said, on the election day, remember that you are the Chief Election Commissioner. By law, you have been given absolute authority. If there is chaos, shut down the polling center, 3 if needed. If necessary, you can even cancel the entire constituency, the CEC further added. Journalists should not be prevented from entering polling station, and the Election Commission should take the matter into consideration, said Shipping Advisor M. Sakhawat Hossain. He said this today at a meeting on the guidelines for journalists formulated by the Election Commission. Stating that the government has full confidence in the Election Commission, Sakhawat Hossain said that the current government is committed to the people to hold fair elections. The speakers at the meeting criticized the policies made and called on the Election Commission to amend the policies. The speakers also put forward several proposals to ensure that journalists work independently to ensure free elections. Viewers, taking a short break, stay with us.
Luxury in Dhaka.
Welcome back. You're watching SATV News. Now, news from abroad. US President Donald Trump said on Friday that Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado called him after being awarded 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. According to the US President, Machado told him she was accepting the Nobel Peace Prize in honor of Trump because the Republican leader really deserved it. Machado, a 58-year-old industrial engineer who lives in hiding, was blocked in 2024 by Venezuela's court from ruling for running for president and thus challenging President Nicolas Maduro, who has been in power since 2013. She later said in an X post that she dedicates the prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of their cause. The White House had earlier criticized the Norwegian Nobel Committee's decision to focus on Venezuela just days after Trump announced a breakthrough in talks to halt the fighting in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. 19 people were missing and possibly dead after a devastating explosion on Friday morning at a military explosive plant in Tennessee, said officials. The explosion and accurate energetic systems about 50 miles west of Nashville occurred at 7:45 a.m. local time, said Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis during a press conference. Davis also said there were multiple fatalities, but it was still too early to know precisely how many people had perished, saying it was still possible there were some survivors. Investigators from the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives were at the scene working to determine the cause of the explosion, he added. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday said that all hostages held by Hamas since its October 7, 2023 attack will be returning in the coming days, adding the Israeli forces will remain in the Gaza Strip as a part of a U.S. brokered deal to end the two-year-long fighting. Netanyahu said the disarming of Hamas would happen one way or another. If not the easy way, then it will be achieved the hard way, he added. Israel's government approved the Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal early on Friday, setting the clock ticking on the first phase of an agreement that aims to end the two-year-old war. The agreement covers only an initial stage, including handling over hostages held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners inside Israel and a partial withdrawal of Israeli troops from positions in the enclave. While Netanyahu's video statement was aired, thousands of displaced Palestinians streamed back towards their abandoned homes after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas went into effect and Israeli troops began pulling back from parts of Gaza. Hamas is expected to release the 20 living Israeli hostages within the next few days, after which Israel will release 250 Palestinians serving long terms in Israeli prisons, as well as 1,700 others detained in Gaza during the war. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes hit the southern Lebanese village of Sailia before dawn on Saturday, killing a Syrian national and wounding 7 people. Lebanon's health ministry said. In a social media post, Israeli army said it struck and dismantled Hezbollah infrastructure and engineering machinery used to re-establish it, accusing the group of violating the Israeli-Lebanon understanding. A conflict between Israel and Lebanon that began a year ago has battered Hezbollah and left swaths of Lebanon in ruins. Hezbollah has rejected calls to disarm since the devastating war with Israel. But the Iran-backed group is under pressure to give up its weapons from its rival in Lebanon and from Washington. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Friday that Russia deliberately waited for bad weather before staging a vast attack on Ukraine's energy system, adding the conditions reduced the efficiency of air defense by 20 and 30%. Russian drones and missiles struck Ukrainian energy facilities overnight, plunging parts of Kyiv into darkness, cutting power and water to homes, and halting a metro link across the Dnipro River. Zelensky said Russia had struck a strong blow to Ukraine, but definitely not fatal. Zelensky also said there were 203 energy facilities in the country which needed air defenses to protect them from Russia. He further said he hoped the coalition of the willing, a group of countries pledged to strengthen support for Ukraine, would hold a new meeting this month. Moscow and Washington remain within the framework of Alaska agreements on a settlement of the conflict in Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday. Asked whether he agrees that the impetus for peace in Ukraine, which emerged later after the Alaska summit, has exhausted, Putin said that neither Russia nor the United States disclosed everything we have been discussing in the Anchorage. Speaking to reporters at the close of a summit in Tajikistan, Putin added that both he and Trump agreed that the issue of Ukrainian settlement by peaceful means, as he put it, need to be additionally discussed and elaborated. Earlier this week, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Yavkov said that the momentum to find a peace deal for Ukraine, which appeared after talks in Alaska, had proven to be exhausted. However, Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov said on Thursday that efforts by Russia and the United States to end the conflict in Ukraine were still alive. French President Emmanuel Macron on Friday named Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister, reappointing him after he quit the job earlier this week, hoping the loyalists can draw enough support from a deeply divided parliament to pass a 2026 budget. He accepts out of duty the mission entrusted to him by the president to do everything possible to deliver a budget for France by the end of the year and to respond to the everyday problems of our fellow citizens. Lecornu said in a post on X, in naming Lecornu, Macron incurred the wrath of his political rivals, who have argued that the best way out of the country's deepest political crisis in decades was for Macron to either hold snap parliamentary elections or resign. The leader of the far-right National Rally Party, Jordan Bardella, slammed the move shortly afterwards on X. A bad joke, a democratic disgrace, and a humiliation for the French people, he said. Jean-Luc Mélenchon from the hard-left France Unbowed called the reappointment a piece of theater. Argentine President Javier Milei on Friday celebrated what he called historic U.S. financial support, stating that it would provide stability as his government faces mounting political challenges ahead of the country's crucial midterm elections. Argentina received historic support from the United States for the Republic of Argentina, which will provide the country with stability during this time of political turbulence, Milei said during an event at the Sedarsa steel plant in San Nicolas. The U.S. Treasury finalized a $20 billion currency swap framework with Argentina and brought pesos in the open market on Thursday. The U.S. intervention comes at a critical moment for Milei, whose party holds a minority position in Argentina legislature. Meanwhile, lawmakers are working to restrict the president's ability to govern by decree, raising the stakes for his party in the October 26 midterm elections. A light plane crashed at an airport in Australia's New South Wales state on Saturday morning, killing 3 people on board, police said. The plane went down at Shellharbour Airport, about 85 kilometers south of the state capital Sydney, shortly after taking off around 10 a.m. local time, police said. Witnesses told police that the left wing hit the tarmac after takeoff before the entire plane was engulfed in flames. Police said a crime scene has been established and that the Australian Transport Safety Bureau have been notified regarding the tragic crash. Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi accused Pakistan on Friday of carrying out airstrikes near his border, calling it a mistake as Islamabad said it was taking action against militants. 11 more Pakistani soldiers were killed on Friday in a clash with Islamic militants in the Tera area close to the Afghan border, according to the Pakistani security officials. Islamabad said militants of the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan group operate from Afghanistan, a charge denied by Kabul. In the border areas, which are Afghanistan's remote areas, there have been some attacks. We consider it a big mistake of the Pakistani government, Muttaqi told a news conference in New Delhi on Friday. Muttaqi is on a 6-day visit to the Indian capital after getting a temporary exemption on his travel ban. He held talks with his Indian counterpart Subramanyam Jaishankar earlier in the day. Muktaki also told reporters that Afghanistan will not allow military interventions or military presence of anyone in response to US President Donald Trump's stated aim of taking over the Bagram military base near Kabul, the capital. If countries want to have relations with us, then they can come to the diplomatic missions. But we don't accept them in the military uniform, he said. Before ending, we'll go to the headlines again. Advises no need safe exit, says law advisor Asif Nazrul. Enacting good laws alone does not mean the entire country will be transformed. People have not entrusted nation's destiny to few parties, says Amir Khosru. Peer method will weaken position of the individual and strengthen the party, says Moin Khan. Security is the biggest challenge in upcoming polls, says CEC. You're updated with the top stories so far here on SATV. And to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.